Hello and welcome back to Creepter LPS. Thank you guys so much for the support on the last video. Today we're going to be doing something a little different from my last video because we are going to be doing my first customizing video! Alright, so in terms of what we are customizing today, I actually already started on this customizing project and then I realized because I just put out my other video, I was like, wait a minute, I should film this! So, the LPS we are going to be customizing today is this deer. So you can see I've already actually started, but let me show you what I'm making. Alright, so the plan is to make Noelle from Deltarune. If you haven't played Deltarune, please go play it. It's so good. The first 4 chapters are out. I believe there's going to be 7 chapters. Either way, it's fantastic. Love it. And I love the character Noelle. I think she's so cute. She's so cute. So I wanted to make her as a Littlest Pet Shop. I have a ton of these Littlest Pet Shop deer molds because during Christmas time, I accidentally was gifted 2 of the advent calendars. And instead of being like, let me just return one, I was like, you know what? Someday I will be inspired to do something with the deer mold LPS because I like to customize. And I was like, ooh, more molds for me, baby. So today is that day. Yeah, we're just gonna go with it. This is kind of the rough blueprint idea that I have. I'm not sure how I feel about the hair. I feel like she would look weird without her hair. But I also don't like how I drew it on here, but I don't know. We're gonna play it by ear. We're gonna figure it out as I'm going. So as you can see, I have already started sculpting. As I said earlier, I started this custom on my own time, and then I was like, girl, pull out that camera. It looks a little rough, again, because I think I was accounting for hair, but basically Noelle's ears are on the sides of her head, not the top. The top is just where her antlers are. But I thought LPS-wise, it would look weird if the ears were right here. I just wasn't rocking with it, and I kind of wanted to marry the idea of a deer Littlest Pet Shop and Noelle, and I just feel like that would be changing it a little too much. So I just moved the ears farther away from each other, and then I am going to add antlers. And I just needed to account for the space that her antlers are gonna go, because if you can see normal deer LPS mold comparison, there's not enough room between the ears for antlers, and at least Noelle's don't like intersect with her ears, so get balded. I balded her. I moved her ears farther so she looks a little bit more bald, but that's okay because we're going to be adding antlers. These are going to be the antlers, and I'll kind of show you how I did that. They look very ugly right now, but I promise sculpting is going to make it all better. I have so many of these little antler accessories, and so I just cut off the antlers themselves, and then since Noelle's girl. And since Noelle's antlers have 3 little nubs, I actually just cut off the top part, glued that to the side, and then basically reconstructed that top bit with clay, and then I'm obviously gonna smooth it out because this is, oh no, yikes. So that is what I've done so far, and yeah, now we're just gonna get on to sculpting. So I started by mixing 2-part epoxy sculpt. I mixed way too much, because epoxy sculpt will dry within like kind of 45 minutes to an hour, and not like rock hard, but like really hard to sculpt with. So I made a mistake, way too much. Girl, oh my god. Luckily I had another custom that I was working on that wasn't for the video that I was able to use some of the clay for, but even then I did not even finish like more than half of this ball of clay that I made. So now I decided to start with sculpting on the antlers. So essentially I just wanted to fill in those cracks that were created when I cut off the top of the plastic of the antlers and glued it to the sides, and then obviously smoothing down the top part of clay that I had added as well, just kind of making it more seamless with the plastic. You know, it'll all look more seamless when I paint it, but I just wanted to fill in all those holes and cracks and whatnot with clay to kind of give it that seamless one piece of object look, you know? It's just one single antler. I finished sculpting both antlers. Hooray! Look at them, they get to sit next to each other, cute. But after that, I decided what I was going to do is I was going to start sculpting Noelle's clothes. Now, I don't really have any experience sculpting Littlest Pet Shop clothes. I've watched both Hello Studios and LPS Cobalt like sculpt clothes, more so LPS Cobalt, and I know that they use like, instead of using air dry clay, it's like oven bake clay, but I'm so scared of putting my Littlest Pet Shops in the oven. Like, I know it's probably fine, but I'm like, okay, but what if it blows up though? Like, what if she explodes? What am I gonna do? So I just always opt for epoxy sculpt, which is air dry clay. Also, I just have 2 gigantic tubs of the 2 components that you have to mix together that I've had for like 3 years, and genuinely there is not a dent in them. So I need to use them. Okay, that was an unnecessary tangent. Anyway, basically I have no experience making Littlest Pet Shop clothes out of clay, just like sculpted onto the custom. So this is my first time doing that. It's a little wonky, you know, I won't say it's perfect, but I think I did a pretty good job. If you have any tips, please feel free to leave them below. But yeah, I just kind of was having fun experimenting, figuring it out. I realized that I could just kind of sculpt on her collar and then like the little cuffs of her dress right above her hoof. And I could kind of just get away with painting the original Littlest Pet Shop plastic, the colors of like her sweater and like the black parts of her dress slash skirt. I don't know which it is. It's a dress or a skirt. Comment down below if you believe that Noelle is wearing a dress or a top and a skirt, because I don't know. Part of me thinks that it's a dress, but then the other part of me is like, okay, maybe it is a skirt. I don't know. We may never know. That's the biggest mystery of Deltarune. Is Noelle wearing a skirt or a dress? Sound off. I then went on to sculpting the skirt slash dress part of her outfit. And this was really hard. Like, girl, oh my goodness, actual nightmare. It's tough. Like, it was fun, but it was also tough, you know, because it's a lot of like mushing clay together, and then I'm accidentally like mushing the parts that I've already made because I want the satisfaction of finishing it all in one go, which, spoiler alert, didn't happen. As I'm recording this voiceover, I'm still not done sculpting because it is actually smart to wait in between sculpting so things can dry. I'm seeing the appeal of the oven bake. It's like 30 minutes later, you can just keep going. I then finished off sculpting for that day, and the next day I started to sand down the antlers. When sanding things, you're gonna wanna be in a well-ventilated area or wear a mask. You know, it's recommended to either do this outside or next to an open window. And you know what? A mask never hurts, so one of those two. You just don't wanna get all the kind of dust and particles from the sanding into your lungs. That's, you know, that's not fun. That's bad. Don't do that. Know that. So I just took my time sanding and making sure that the antlers looked smooth, there were no fingerprints on them, and the clay that I had sculpted on kind of adhered to the plastic parts that were already there. It looked seamless. I then went ahead and started to finish up doing the sculpting I needed to do on her skirt. After that, it was time to glue on the antlers. So I just used some super glue and basically dotted the places where I wanted to put the antlers and then stuck the antlers on. And then I just waited for that glue to cure and left it till the next day.
The next day.
So the next day I start sanding down the pieces that I sculpted the previous day, like her collar and her skirt. And then it's time to work on the hair. Oh my gosh, the hair. Girl, when I tell you sculpting hair is one of the most difficult things I have ever done, LPS Customizing, it is the hardest thing I've ever done, LPS Customizing, oh my god. So when I've done customs in the past, I haven't really sculpted on hair. The most that I had sculpted on is maybe some little like hair tufts or something on the ears, or like fluff on the side of their like cheeks or something if I wanted them to be a little bit more fluffy, but never like semi-realistic hair. What am I saying? Girl. Anyway, hair, very hard. Very hard. Have not done that before. Trying to figure out not only how to make Noelle's hair kind of fit on this deer mold, but also just kind of trying to figure out hair sculpting in general was definitely a learning curve, definitely hard. As the recording continues, I start to just drag the custom further and further down the screen. And at certain points, like I've had to cut a lot of this out, but I literally just take it off screen to continue sculpting. Like, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. It was hard. And especially like adding dimension, because it's easy to kind of put down like, here's this big block of like, you know, where a swath of hair is, but then adding like strands of hair, I guess, and making it not look flat is very hard, especially also because like if the clay is not dry, essentially, even if I do build up a place where it's got more dimension, I'm then just smushing it down as I continue sculpting, which, oh my god, driving me nuts. But I kind of started to figure it out as I kept going. I was getting the hang of it. it. I'm starting to groove with it more. I then moved on to making her little buck tooth, which, oh my god, is so cute. It took a few tries, but eventually one dollop of clay just worked, and I said, that's the tooth, and I went with it. After that, it was just a matter of me kind of fine-tuning stuff until I felt good about it. Hello! So, I have finally finished all of the sculpting on my wonderful Noelle custom. Let me show you what I've done. So, I did go in after filming and add a little bit more volume to her hair. I was having a very hard time doing it on camera, because I would just kind of pull the figure off camera and then it's like, okay, what's the point? So I just kind of went in on a final pass to give a little bit more volume to the hair. I did some off-camera mining. But yeah, this is kind of how it turned out. I think, there's a few parts that maybe could be sanded down a bit more, but aside from that, we're pretty much ready to paint. So now it was time to paint. What I did first was basically make a base layer of gesso, which is actually for priming canvases, like painting canvases and not Littlest Pet Shops. But I find that actual white paint it's so hard to get semi-opaque on a Littlest Pet Shop, so I just used the gesso and it works. It's a good base for me. And like any customizer will tell you, you water that paint down just so you're not gonna get a bunch of streaky paint lines. So the next thing I am gonna do is I'm gonna start painting her body. Again, watering down that paint so we're not gonna see all those brush strokes. I got this lighter beige color and I just start to kind of layer that on to her body. I also mix a secondary beige color, a little bit of a darker one, so I can give her a little bit more depth. I just paint that on her tail to make her tail a little bit darker, and then the tops of her ears and the bottoms of her hooves. After I finish painting her body, it's time for her dress. So I start by blocking out the little squares of color because of her dress being this kind of checkered green and red, and so I'm just blocking those colors out. It took me a while to layer these on, more so the green than the red. I found the red went on pretty smoothly, but the green, it took quite a bit of layers to make it actually look opaque. I also take the time to paint her nose red while I have that red paint out. Look at her cute little nose, oh my god. She's so cute. With the green and red checkerboard look done, I buff out the paint on the white parts of her outfit, which are going to be her collar and then her little cuffs above her hooves. I just take that same gesso because, again, I hate layering normal white paint. It takes forever and it drives me nuts. So the gesso will do, okay? Nobody's gonna know. How would they know? How would they know? And then I just take some of that gesso to fill in the whites of her eyes. And after that, I'm gonna take some black paint and I'm going to finish up the rest of her dress and paint her back hooves. And then I paint the rest of her dress black and do a few layers to make sure that it's opaque. And the next step is painting her hair. So just like white paint, yellow paint takes a lot of layering. I don't know, maybe it's the mixture of the dyes or whatever, but it takes so many layers. But we ball. I just keep layering for what was probably hours, and eventually it started to look opaque, which was very good. We like that. We don't want her hair to be all patchy. So after finishing her hair, I start to do the details on her face. I make her mouth a little bit more defined by painting in the lines of the sculpting just to make her look like she's smiling. And then I take a little daughter tool and dot on freckles for her because she's just so cute. She's just so cute and she needs her freckles. And then after that, I start to do her eyeliner. Eyeliner hard. How many things in this video have I said, hey, this is hard? Eyeliner, very hard. I think I need to get a smaller paintbrush to do Littlest Pet Shop eyeliner. I usually just go, screw it, we ball, and I pray for the best. I think that this didn't turn out terribly, but I think it could have been a little bit more clean. And whether that's just me needing to be a little bit more precise or needing a new paintbrush, maybe a little bit of both, not sure, but I think it turned out pretty good. After her eyeliner is complete, I start to fill in the black part of her eyes. The good thing about Deltarune is that the characters don't really have eye colors. Like for Noelle, her eyes are just black. And I could have chosen a color for her eyes, but I think for the kind of more video gamey look I wanted to go for, I just wanted her eyes to be completely black, so I didn't have to worry about mixing any colors for her eyes, which definitely made the eye painting a little bit easier. Oh, she's so cute. Okay, after having a bit of a moment, I take my same dotting tool and dot on her eye shines. And after that, the final thing to do is to seal her. So I use matte Mod Podge to seal her body, and then for her eyes, I use a glossy varnish. And after that, she is complete. Alright, and with that, I have finally finished my Littlest Pet Shop Noelle custom. Here she is! Oh my gosh! Yay! I am just obsessed with her. She is so cute. I think she turned out so well. I'm very proud of the back of her hair. It's not perfect, but honestly, I feel like for the first time, like sculpting hair, I did a really good job on this. I think the dress is so cute. I'm super proud of her little tooth. She's not perfect. I mean, there's always things I could do better. If you guys have any tips, I would be so utterly thankful for them. I also wanted to show you, this is the final custom, and this is how she started out. She was the same mold as this deer. As I said earlier, I moved her ears, added the antlers, and then sculpted on the hair and the clothing. And you can just kind of see the transition from the deer mold to Noelle. They're distinctly different, and I'm really proud of that. All right, and I think with that, this video is done. Let me know if you have any customizing tips. Like I said, I would be so thankful to hear any of your thoughts. Did you like this custom? Do you think there's something I could have done differently? And do you want to see me make more customs in general in the future, but specifically more Deltarune customs in the future? I love Deltarune. It's been a part of my life since it came out. You know, I played Undertale in 2016 and it just changed my life, as I think it did for a lot of people. And so when Deltarune came out, I was chomping at the bit, dog. I was there. I love all these characters, and I think a lot of their designs can translate really well into Littlest Pet Shops. So let me know if there's any other characters you want to see. I do have this goat mold, so there could be a Ralsei custom in our future. There could be a little soft little guy in our future, but let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want more custom content from me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Creepter LPS out!